We will talk about how to shift your mindset from simply being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, or business owner to being a leader at what you do. Y'all do know there is a difference, right? We're going to get right into it after this quick intro. Don't you move.
Whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Sharvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Sharvette Mitchell.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting live from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but heard and seen all across the World Wide Web. Welcome to all those that are joining us from, we got Facebook, my Facebook personal page, my Facebook business page, my Facebook group, YouTube, Twitter. What am I leaving out? Oh, surprise. Welcome to those that are joining us from Amazon. Yes, we are on Amazon Live tonight, premiere with Amazon Live. So welcome to all those that are watching on Amazon Live. We are excited to have you. Certainly all of our podcast listeners that are going to be checking this out later on in our podcast systems. We appreciate you. And certainly Blog Talk Radio, we can't leave you out as well. So you are listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Yes, and our goal is to motivate, excite, and influence. We are excited again to have all of those that are popping on in, saying hello from all across the web. We thank you so much for those that are just coming on in. Howdy from Wakanda. Listen, that's comedian Wendy Lee. Always coming in from Wakanda. And she's going to be actually one of our MCs for our upcoming conference. Yes. I'm super excited because this segment is brought to you by the 6th annual Pop-Up Conference for Women Entrepreneurs that is taking place in Richmond, Virginia. Yep. Taking place in Richmond, Virginia, November 4th, which is for our VIPs only, and November 5th and 6th. You have the information right there. Wherever you're watching, it's in the show notes, all those good things. Check it out. Make sure you register and join us. Again, this segment is brought to you by the 6th annual Pop-Up Conference for Women Entrepreneurs, which is my signature conference. So we're excited to have all of you that are coming on in. Thank you so much for being here with us. So let me tell you about our guest that is here and that is coming in and ready. Hey, Dee, thank you for popping on in from all over. Hey, girl, hey. Those are hanging out in my Facebook group. So let me tell you a little bit more because today's segment is awesome. Our topic today is key leadership skills for solopreneurs transitioning into a CEO role. And we have LaDonna Stone with us. Let me tell you a little bit more about her. LaDonna Stone has a book that is on Amazon. So for those of you that are hanging out with us on Amazon, you will see the book right there, IB Leadership Academy Workbook. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that. But she is an entrepreneur, a leadership coach. She's the owner of Inspired Beliefs, LLC, which is a leadership development coaching, training, and consulting company. LaDonna received her bachelor's degree in psychology from Old Dominion University, her master's degree in social work from Norfolk State University, and later became licensed as a clinical social worker. And I'm telling you what, LaDonna is currently pursuing her doctorate. And again, for those that are hanging out with us on Amazon, she is the author of a book we have hanging out right on that page, IB Leadership Academy Workbook, which is a professional development workbook. And her experience is extensive. Listen, and she has put together the IB Leadership Academy, which is a 6-week virtual live leadership academy that equips leaders with the skills, tools, and knowledge to lead successful teams, inspire those around them, and empower future leaders. LaDonna Stone is here with us, coming up to the mic, live on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, girl, hey. How are you?
I am doing well. We're so glad to have you.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell us, how did you get into this space of leadership?
So leadership, you know how a lot of people say that you're kind of born with leadership skills. And so I do feel like I kind of was born with some of that, but I think a lot of the experiences that I had at the jobs that I've had is really what equipped me to feel confident enough to say that I am a leader. And
Yeah.
so from all of the experiences that I had working at, and I've had quite a few jobs, people who have attended some of my previous seminars, they kind of know the story of that. But because I'm really big on my environment, I'm really big on who's leading me and things like that. And if I feel like I'm not getting what I need or someone's not pouring into me, then sometimes I feel like, okay, this is not the place for me to be. Let me, find somewhere else to go. But ultimately, because of a lot of those experiences, that kind of led me to say, okay, something's not right. This is not how roles. They should know how to lead. They should know how to talk to people. It's just so many different things that I experienced that made me say, okay, well, if I'm not getting it at my job, let me go somewhere else and train myself and learn and figure out how to be a leader that I know people should be. So even when I was not in leadership roles, I found myself putting myself in positions where I'm either leading a project or, anything of that nature. So really, it was because of some of these experiences that I had where I'm just like, okay, this work environment, and I said it before, it's a hot mess and we need to do something about it. So if there's a way that I can help some of these organizations, these entrepreneurs who's looking to grow, teams not be such a hot mess, then that's what I want to do. So
Yeah, so well said. And so certainly, I think a lot of times companies, and then we're focusing this really on entrepreneurs,
yes.
but across the board, you might have been taught or trained to manage, but
Yes.
can you talk a little bit about how people might confuse the difference between managing and the difference between leading?
Yeah, so it's funny because with this IB Leadership Academy, we actually talk about the differences between, and I call it like a boss versus a leader. And a boss is really someone who's there, who's almost micromanaging tasks and people. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. There's no coaching involved. There's no teaching. There's no leading. There's no watch me while I do it and then you do it as well. A lot of time bosses, they don't necessarily care about your development. They just want the job done. And there are certain fields where it's important for you to have someone who's telling you, okay, this is what you need to do, like automation, factory type work. It's some places it's appropriate, but then there's a lot of places where it's not appropriate to lead that way. And essentially you're not leading, you're managing. It's actually more work when you're managing versus leading. It may be for leaders in the beginning a little bit more work, but ultimately when you lead in the right way, you're going to have people that's going to follow and you can literally fall back and, feel comfortable and empowered and confident that you've actually developed people who's going to continue on with your brand.
Yeah, so good, so good. And one of our viewers is saying, "Bosses give orders, leaders train." Thank you for that that recap there. And so, as we think about entrepreneurship, and I always say for entrepreneurs, it's a two-edged sword. Anybody can be an entrepreneur. That's the good side.
Yep.
The bad side is anybody can be an entrepreneur. So you find yourself as an entrepreneur, maybe a solopreneur, and your business is growing and things are growing, and then you find yourself in a leadership space, and now you might have virtual assistants, might have contractors, then you might move to part-time or full-time employment, but there isn't per se like a guidebook of now, you knew how to do this one skill, or you knew you have intellectual property, or you know how to make products, but now how do you lead people? And so what's the most, what are the things that you see kind of the bumpy roads for entrepreneurs and kind of the shift of being a leader as well?
Honestly, I think it's the mindset. I think when people are entrepreneurs, and I'm so glad you said that because that's actually something that it's easy to open a business, it's easy to file a, LLC or, if you want to be an S Corp, whatever, it's easy to do that. But your mindset is, and it's not in a selfish way, but it's me. This is what I know how to do. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to get it done. And so when you are thinking about working with other people, like you said, virtual assistants, when you're thinking about growing a team, you really have to shift your mindset to then how do I communicate what I know? Because really, I don't have to communicate this to anybody. I might have a business plan and it's written in paper, but I don't really have to communicate this to anyone. So how do I shift my mindset to now think about what do I need to now communicate, say, do, show to these people as I'm trying to grow my business? And so some of the struggle, I think, is people not being able to really shift that mindset and communicate the vision. Because we kind of all know where we want to see our business, but when you don't know how to communicate that vision and communicate it through some of these things that I'll be talking about later in the show, then you're going to find that your vision is not being executed and you're wondering what's wrong. And it may not be them, it may be you. A lot of times I say with leaders, sometimes you're the problem. A lot of times you're the problem.
Oh, that might ouch. That might sting. Hashtag sting. That might ouch and that might sting. But that's something that we all need to hear. Absolutely. And so I'd love to talk a little bit about your company. So IB, which again, those that are hanging out on Amazon, you'll see down below IB Leadership Academy Workbook. What does IB stand for? And how did you get the name?
So IB simply stands for Inspired Beliefs. And really what I consider myself to be an inspirational leader. And so ultimately Inspired Beliefs came about, something you believe in, be inspired to do it, don't let nobody stand in your way. And that's honestly the gist of Inspired Beliefs, that, we're going to inspire you. I always say, be inspired. I'm going to inspire you to get from A to B to C. If you're trying to get to Z, I'm going to try to help you get there too. So,
Wonderful. And you have a 6-week you have a 6-week virtual program that's tied to the workbook. So tell us a little bit about that.
So the IB Leadership Academy, the years and years and years, I want to say probably about 15 or so years I've been in leadership roles. And so the reason why I really want to focus on entrepreneurs and small businesses is because when I started out working in the field, I worked for a lot of small businesses. So these are your entrepreneurs who were growing, they were growing teams. Yeah. And so from those experiences, that's where I kind of learned that, we're not hiring the right people, or, we're hiring friends and family because it's easy. We're not really focusing on the training. So we are promoting people within, which when you're working for a small business, it's actually a good thing. The pay is great. And, you have sometimes better opportunities to advance because it's such a small, company. So there's not a lot of competition, but you're advancing people that really should not be advanced. So the IB Leadership Academy, that came about from all of the things that I learned from me being a leader, the good and the bad, and just what I learned about what a leader should not be. So the 6-week virtual academy ultimately is going to talk about, it's 6 weeks and you get me live in front of your face. So it's virtual, it's interactive. Like I said, I'm the leader that inspires. So you're not going to get a bunch of recorded, lectures and all of that. You're going to get me and you're going to work through this workbook from, each week, because I want you to put into practice what we're actually talking about. And so there are 6 major leader types that I talk about in the academy without actually talking about it. But these are all of the steps that, from my experience, just things that I even went through as a leader, that I feel like is so important when you are transitioning. So we talk about being the student leader, the knowledgeable leader, confident leader, respected leader, the inspired leader, and the empowered leader. And each of those leader types have very, very specific skills and activities that you really, not necessarily you should master right away, but it really helps you to get that shift in that mindset. So that way, as you go through that journey, you're feeling empowered and confident, like I can do this, I got this, I'm not alone. It's not such a scary, feat to try to, I guess, get over or come across. So basically, I'm trying to help make this journey as smooth as possible.
I love it. I love it. Listen, we're going to take a quick commercial break because when we come back, then we're going to get into the key leadership skills for solopreneurs that are transitioning into a CEO role. And we're excited again. LaDonna, we're going to have you hang out in the virtual studio during our commercial break. And again, welcome to all those that are popping on in. I am Sharvette Mitchell. And just to share a little bit about me, here is our commercial break. We'll be right back. Imagine what it would feel like to throw a spotlight on your business and draw attention to the great services you offer. Picture having the tools and strategies to elevate the marketing of your business. That's the mission of Mitchell Productions. We consult with women entrepreneurs and a few lucky men to help them get more customers by focusing on their visibility, their marketing, and their branding. In working with us, our clients generate more revenue and increase their brand awareness. We do this in a couple of ways with consulting services, the Platform Builder group coaching program, pop-up conferences, book collaborations, and the Sharvette Mitchell radio show. Hi, I'm Sharvette Mitchell, your online marketing strategist, your overwhelm eliminator, your platform builder, and your confidence igniter. Let's schedule a meet and greet call so that we can accelerate your marketing. All right, there you go. There you have it. Welcome back to the show. Listen, comedian Wendy Lee, again, one of our MCs for the 6th annual pop-up conference, is in the comments asking, are there snacks in the virtual studio? Yes, there are snacks wherever you are. You can have whatever snacks you want to have. Thank you so much. A shout out to photographer and videographer Kimmy James for that commercial. All right, so let's jump back in, bring LaDonna back up into the virtual studio here, back into live here on the Sharvette Mitchell radio show. And so now let's jump in. And so LaDonna, tell us how you want to, I don't know how many keys you want to give, how many doors you want to unlock, but let's jump in and share, with those that are watching. And again, thank you for those all across LinkedIn. I forgot to mention you earlier. Hey, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Amazon Live, all the places. So how do we want to jump in and talk about this topic?
So before we even get to that, just know I'm in the virtual room chuckling at that snack comment. Yes. I'm like, who is that? No snack. I do have some water, so I took a sip of water. So
awesome.
So going back to the 6 leader type. So basically what I call this the Stone 6 leader type transitioning solopreneur to CEO framework. So ultimately what this is each, like 6 leader types, and each leader type have various activities and just skills that people need to know, not necessarily master right away, because there will always be, growth, ongoing growth. But ultimately, for the student leader, we talk a lot about self-awareness. So anytime anyone hears me talk, you're always going to hear me, pretty much probably sound like a broken record, because I'm going to constantly talk about self-awareness, because I think that is probably the one skill that we should never think that we've actually mastered. It really needs to be something that's ongoing. And so when we're talking about self-awareness, we're also talking about really looking in the mirror and looking at the things that we may not be so great at, and not being afraid to admit that even as a leader, we don't know it all. And when you can admit that, I think people respect you a little bit more, because you may know a lot, but honestly, you don't know everything. You don't know how to do everything. And that's also why it's important as you transition, from your solopreneur to CEO, is that at some point you have to realize that if I really want to elevate and grow my business, that does mean that sometimes I have to bring other people in. Yeah. And then surrounding yourself with people that, the saying, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to grow. So sometimes it's surrounding yourself in an environment where these people know a skill set that maybe you don't know. So not necessarily just being smarter, but where do you want to grow? And how can I find myself in a situation where I can be around people that know these things and can grow? Yeah. So for example, public speaking, if that's not a strong point for a leader, and we know that they say leaders should know how to communicate well. Well, that's not the case. Not all leaders know how to communicate well, but they still have great leadership qualities. Well, find yourself in situations where you're around people who speaking, pick up on what they're saying, what they're doing, their mannerisms, and then eventually, get yourself out there. So, that's an example of just how you can be self-aware and build yourself up in that way. Then we talk about,
so well said.
Then we talk about the knowledgeable leader, and that's where we really get into like the business foundation. So the why that you actually started your business, what is your vision, what are your values? And that is, I probably think, one of the most important things when you are bringing other people on, because again, when we talked about it earlier, how do you communicate that to the people that you're bringing on? Even if it's a business partner, that you're bringing on, how do you communicate to this new business partner that, hey, this is the vision, how do we kind of collaborate to make sure that we're both going in the same direction? I'm really, 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 oh my God, I can't even say this enough, so big on customer service. I don't know if entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, I don't know if they think that's a big deal or that they should think about stuff like that. So of course, I actually talk about that, in the Leadership Academy. What is your customer service philosophy? How do you want people to feel? What do you want them to see? How do you want them to, or actually how do you want to communicate to them when things, someone said that's why they hired you. You're always teaching you something you don't.
Thank you, Monique. Monique A.J. Smith, thank you.
But ultimately, that is the business foundation. So kind of like with the self-awareness, that's more of the interpersonal. The knowledgeable leader is the one who's now thinking about, okay, how do I put my business vision out there? So that's the self-awareness for the business itself. Then we talk about the respected leader. Now, the respected leader, I always say, is not the leader that cares if people like them, but because they are so well respected, everyone likes them, even if they don't necessarily always like what they have to say. And so in that case, you're focusing on leadership types. What type of leader am I? What leadership style do I need to adapt for this particular situation? So even though I consider myself to be a transformational and a servant leader, I know that there are some situations where I can't move that slow. Those are two slow moving leadership styles. Transformation cannot happen overnight. And so if it's say I need to implement change really quickly, then I have to shift my mindset and shift my leadership style, because I can't engage in transformational leadership style when I need something to happen within about a month or so. So just even knowing and understanding that, I think, is really important. And then you have,
and let me ask, is there a test or something or an assessment that people can take, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, to figure out where their natural leadership style falls?
So there's actually something that I do in the academy is actually the DISC profile assessment. And I've actually done the Myers-Briggs. So even though that's not very specific to leadership style in general, it really talks about personality and work traits. And a lot of times when people see what their results are, it kind of aligns with either the leadership style they've already been, kind of implementing without even realizing it, or it helps to align, oh my God, this is why, I lead the way that I lead, because a lot of it has to do with your personality traits, what you think, how you think. And that a lot of that has to do with the student leader as well, thinking about your pet peeves. What are your biases? Does that overflow when you're talking to people? So there are some of those more personality assessment activities that I do. And then there's actually some like a leadership quiz that I have as well to kind of help people get into the mindset of, what do they even think a leader is? Looking at,
That's
okay,
good.
well, yeah, how do I communicate? How do I listen? And like scenario-based type questions. So there are some things out there that people can kind of do to get into the mindset of, am I ready to be a leader, or what type of leader am I?
Okay, good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And let me just acknowledge, welcome to all those that are popping on in from all across the World Wide Web. We're hanging out here with LaDonna Stone, entrepreneur, leadership coach, author, owner of Inspired Beliefs. Welcome to our Amazon audience. This is our premiere on Amazon Live. We see you hanging out there. So thank you. You see one of her workbooks down below there, and she has some other things on Amazon. So welcome. And then certainly Facebook Live, y'all holding it down all across Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. Thank you so much. And certainly our podcast listeners that are going to catch this a little bit later. So, all right, let's keep going, LaDonna. I think you had a few more things as we talk about the keys, leadership skill, key leadership skill.
And someone in the comments put the Chick-fil-A. I actually have a video that I include in the Academy that talks about customer service. So when you're talking about how does a company make you feel, like what is it that you want people to feel? And we know, Chick-fil-A makes people feel like a priority. And so when you're thinking about that, when you're growing your company, growing your business, what is the feeling that you want people to have? So a lot of times it's more than just what we say, it's how we make people feel when we're talking about, customer service and things like that. So then we move on to the inspired leader. The inspired leader, is the leader who is really focused on, how do I influence change? At what point do I know things aren't working? How do I admit to myself that things aren't working? Because as leaders, a lot is put on us. As entrepreneurs, a lot is put on us to say, this is working out, this is not working out. What do I need to do to make changes? But then how do I influence and communicate change, especially when other people are involved? How do I get them on board? How do I get them to buy in? And then you're also focusing on the leader who knows how to communicate. So a lot of times it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. So when you're growing your team, you have to know how to coach others, and then you have to know how to give and receive feedback. So in the Academy, you actually learn a technique called GROW. And then it's another technique called SBI, and SBI is how you give feedback. And then GROW is basically how you coach others. And I love the acronym because the whole point is to help develop and, grow other people, because ultimately a leader wants to grow other leaders. You don't want to keep growing employees. So even if they're not going to be in a leadership role, you want them to have those qualities of a leader, even as an employee. So I think that's important. And I forgot to actually mention that you don't always necessarily have to be a leader to take advantage of these leadership skills. These are just personal and professional development skills that people should just have in general.
Oh, that's so good. So no matter where you are, corporate America, solo, we target and we tailor this show to business owners, solopreneurs, but certainly our skill sets are transferable. Yes. I heard business coach Jerisha Hawk say you should hire swimmers and not people that need lifeguards. So if you on a boat, you need to, and so I love that thought process. Like you said, even if you are, employees, still having a leadership mindset. How can people enroll in your academy and find out more about that?
So enroll in the academy. You can visit my webpage, inspiredbeliefsllc.com. And once you get on the webpage, there's going to be a pop-up that says to enroll now. Then there's going to also be a button that says enroll in academy. There's going to be a wealth of information on the website just in general about the academy. Something that I have here, and I'm not sure, I know you said you have it linked there, but for those who are visual, this is the actual workbook. It's a 90-page workbook. And when I say we work through this workbook, you will not leave feeling, oh my God, I still don't know a lot of stuff, or I'm still missing something. There's also an opportunity for those who wanted to engage in an additional one-on-one coaching session. So if there's something very specific a problem, a challenge, or something, I'm there for that. But ultimately, what I hope to get across is that just because you are a solopreneur, entrepreneur, doesn't mean that these leadership skills and qualities and, personal and professional development should be something that you don't think about or think you don't need. And so hopefully with this, with this transition, the journey becomes easy. So even if you aren't ready now, I still suggest enroll in the academy, get these skills under your belt, start working. So that way, when you get to that, when you get to that point, you already feel confident that I got this. So
and hold the workbook up one more time. Hold that up one more time. Awesome. So there's, for those that are visual, when you see that and you're on Amazon, you'll see that linked right on Amazon there. Wonderful, wonderful. And I love it. It is a workbook you work through. Oh my goodness. Our time is gone. Our time is done. Listen, the goal of our show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And our last question is, what continues to motivate LaDonna Stone?
What continues to motivate me is the fact that we have so many entrepreneurs who are opening up businesses. And I feel like there's always going to be somebody that I can help, somebody who needs the help, whether they realize it or not. Sometimes you do not know what you don't know. And so as long as that's the case, that's what motivates me. And I just want to see healthy people working in healthy environments. And with my social work background, that's why a lot of what I talk about is about that personal development as well. I want to see healthy people in healthy work environments. And so that's what motivates and inspires me.
Well said. Well said. Following on social media. That's the last question. How can they follow you on social media?
So my handle is Inspired Beliefs LLC, and I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm trying to get a Twitter presence, but I have to know what I can. My Twitter is it's a little dead right now, but hopefully we can get that working.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for stopping by the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Again, thank you for all those that popped on in. And a reminder that this segment was brought to you by my 6th annual pop-up conference for women entrepreneurs that is taking place in Richmond, Virginia. November 4th is for our VIPs only, which is sold out. But November 5th and 6th, we still have seating available. And it is my signature conference. I'm telling you, we have like 18 speakers across 3 days. It's going to be amazing. The information is right there on your screen or linked wherever you are watching. And so we appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing you at the 6th annual pop-up conference for women entrepreneurs, Richmond, Virginia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to those. Thank you so much. It's been hanging out. Good evening. We see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those that are popping in saying great show. Thank you so much. Somebody said only 18 speakers. Yeah, only 18. And that's not including me. So we might need to say 19. All right. It is a wrap for the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Thank you so much for everyone that hung out with us. We are so excited that you chose to be here. And we'll see you all next time later on the web. Bye.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you've been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Catch Sharvette Mitchell every Tuesday at 6 p.m., interviewing all the stars you want to hear from. So until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. This is the Sharvette Mitchell Radio